Alright guys, what is up? Got another video here for you today. This one is largely to do with the media. There's no like super clear topic in general here, and to be honest, this video might just get deleted by YouTube anyway. And so, like I said, I'd like to plug my Odyssey channel. If you guys are not on Odyssey yet, I would highly recommend going there, as YouTube is a sinking ship. You might have seen my previous video about the September 2021 YouTube TOS. I said TOA in the video, but that was a goof. TOS update. Basically, if you say anything anti-vax, if your channel is built on the vaccine, you know, science, whatever, and it doesn't follow the narrative, they'll just flat out remove your channel. So yeah, YouTube is a sinking ship as far as this censorship goes. And so, you know, I started doing this I don't know, a couple years ago, migrating over to these other platforms. And so yeah, like Odyssey, BitChute, Minds, you know, Parler for a minute there, but Parler basically got deleted by Amazon Web Services last year because it was becoming the most popular app on the Apple iStore. So and also the Android App Store. So that's also funny, you know. The leftists are always like, oh, if you don't like Twitter, if you don't like Facebook, go build your own platform. Well, turns out, guys, you can't even do that. So yeah, Parler, I think Parler's back now, but they made some compromising deal. So I don't even know if I trust them. Haven't looked into Parler much recently. But yeah, Minds is a good alternative to Parler, and of course Telegram is a really good one. That's a really good alternative to Messenger. So don't mean to just like unabashedly plug all of these services, but I would say Odyssey is my favorite, my personal favorite. And I always leave a link in the descriptions of the videos now to my Odyssey channel if you guys want to check that out. It has a cool feature where everything I make on YouTube also gets imported over to Odyssey. So if YouTube ever decides to pull the plug on my channel, then they'll be backed up on Odyssey, which is fantastic. So yeah, leave a link for that in my banner of my channel, and then also at the end of every video. But with that shameless plug finished, I will get into today's topic. And like I said, largely just about the media, because I've been noticing, I mean, I've noticed this for years, but I just want to make a video on it now because it's getting really, really bad. If you, basically like only one side of the argument is allowed at this point. And if you try to type up the opposite opinion or whatever, usually right-wing or libertarian views, then it just is censored. So like, for instance, I typed in CNN lies, and the first article that came up, it says former press secretary tries to repent for years of lying for Trump. You know, they never bring up like lying for Obama or lying for Biden or lying for China. That's a big one, lying for China these days. Again, like I said, I'm probably, this is probably going to get highly censored and or deleted on YouTube because I just don't care anymore. Because yeah, another thing is if you type in like communism or something like that, they always bring up Russia, which, you know, Russia did have communism, but like now they're much more populist, they're much more freedom oriented, because the countries that went through communism are typically more freedom oriented in today's age because they already went through that, right? Like Canada, Australia, and like the US, like we really haven't gone through communism. I think that's a big reason. That might be a topic for another video, honestly, but I think that's a big reason why you're seeing such left-leaning policies being pushed by the media and several states in the US and these other areas, is because they've never experienced it, whereas like places like Russia, China, you know, Italy, Germany, like they've actually experienced fascism and or communism to some extent in the past. And so I find that very interesting that they basically are just pushing the Russian hoax, you know, like they make Russia look like the bad guys. They do this in the movies too. I've noticed that in the movies, like it's always a Russian villain, and then they make like China look like the good guy usually. I think the movie Gravity actually I was reading a book called the 100-Year Marathon. It's about like China's plan, but I think the movie Gravity shows that specifically, where like the Russians are against Sandra Bullock's character, but then like the Chinese government are the ones that like help her in the end. It's like a combination of the Chinese and the U.S. government come to save her. And it was just like nonsense. I remember that movie came out a while ago too, and I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah, like I said, you type in CNN lies, it just comes up with one argument, and I titled this video, "They Know, They Just Don't Care," and the thumbnail is kind of a reference to that. If you guys have seen The Dark Knight Rises, there's a scene where like Catwoman is like looking for the truth, and she's just like flabbergasted about like what's going on, and then she has to fight a bunch of thugs, and she's like, wait a minute, I'm on your side, and then Batman shows up, he goes, they know, they just don't care. And so like I feel like that's the news. I think the news and the media knows exactly what they are doing, but they don't care because it's the ultimate grift, right? If they can just say things that please the mainstream media, you know, the donor classes, the lobbyists, the politicians, all largely funded by our tax dollars, by the way, then they can continue the grift, right? They can continue to get tax write-offs. They can continue to be in the elite class. That's what's so funny about this infrastructure bill that they're trying to pass is basically all it's going to do is extend the SALT. I think it's the SALT tax is what it was called. It's a tax that Trump got rid of, where basically really, really mega rich corporations could only write off a certain amount. But now they're able to like write off as much as they want again. So it's really something to really remember about when they pass these like help the poor, whatever, lower tax policies. What they're really trying to do is they're trying to give government welfare to the poor to keep them poor, and then they're trying to give as much tax write-offs to the rich as they possibly can. And then the middle class is the one that has to like pay for everything. So when they say like tax the rich, like again, they're such hypocrites. Like Bernie Sanders owns like 3 homes. You know, Joe Biden's been in politics for like 100 years. You know, they don't tax the rich. What they do is they tax the middle class, and they want to get rid of the middle class because the middle class is they typically understand the dangers of leftist ideology because most of them have escaped from those places. Like Cubans are a big one. Big middle class in the U.S. I don't know about as much about nowadays, but a lot of Cubans, when they came over in the 80s, they turned out to be very productive citizens in the U.S. because specifically they understood what they were escaping. So yeah, basically that's all it is. So when they try to write articles about that, about the middle class and we need to tax the rich, that's all it means. It just means they want to keep the rich, they want to keep the poor, and make the poor feel like they're getting some kind of service. But again, that's how the only way to do that is you have to purvey the victim mentality, and so that's what they do. So anyway, I'm like completely off the rails in a way here, but essentially what I'm getting at is that the media really does know what they're doing. Like I follow this, like CNN, these guys know exactly what they're doing. You have to be like a emotional vampire really to just be able to do this and not feel any sort of remorse. Like you have no morality, you have no integrity, and that's something that's been going on for years, way before my time. But like I've asked my parents about it, about like the Clinton scandal and the OJ scandal, and back in OJ they used race. You know, they've always used race or gender, right? Like feminism is a big one that they use. They've always used these tactics to divide us because like that's their ultimate goal. Like a nation divided is a threat to no one, essentially, because if we unite, then you know we can fight back in this. And that's kind of what's happening now. I think that's the biggest reason why they're I'll kind of get into my final segment of the video, which is censorship. I think that's the biggest reason why they're censoring so much nowadays, is because in a big way they're losing. I don't really know what that means for the future, like if censorship will prevail or if we won't, but like because of the internet and because of independent content creators like myself and many others that are just like fantastic, way better than the news has ever been in the history of the news, because of the rise of this, you're just seeing kind of a panic. And we saw that with the 2020 election, you know, the completely honk legitimate election. That's all I'll say on that. you saw like Fox call Arizona early and just like all this stuff. So they really are trying to get ahead of it because they know. I think Steven Crowder. I was watching Steven Crowder's election live stream that day, and it had like more views than any of the live streams, and I think like Facebook shut it down because that's like a tactic that like some of these companies are using now, these social media companies now, is you'll have a live stream and you're getting like millions of, hundreds of thousands to millions of viewers on the live stream, and so they will like cut it off and use the term and use like, oh we had technical difficulties as like an excuse for why it happened or whatever, but really that's all they're doing. They're basically, what they do is they throttle it and then all the viewers have to come back in, so it kind of like resets the goalpost. And keep in mind, if you're getting like hundreds of thousands to millions on a live stream, like you're making a lot of money. So that's another reason why they do that, because they know that like if they cut it off and people have to join in, like most people probably won't come back, so it like cuts the viewership in half. So it's just a really, really scummy tactic that these companies do. And yeah, again, the censorship, guys, it's all because they basically know that they are losing the narrative on many things. You'll notice too, conspiracy theories. The news is happening really fast these days. Steve O'Bannon, I think his name is, he talked about this, where like basically you'll say something and get banned for it, and then like 30 days later they start to lose the narrative, so they let it come out, and then it's okay to say that now. Like this has happened with like the Wuhan lab and, you know, masks, natural immunity. If we're just dealing with like the pandemic in general, there's been so many things that were said like a year ago that you would have been banned for, you would have been called a conspiracy theorist, but now if you say it, it's completely fine, because they lost the narrative, guys. Whenever you can now talk about something, that's just what you need to remember. They have lost the narrative because too many people are questioning it. Too many people are waking up, unplugging from the matrix of CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever it is. I think the only news source that I really trust these days is Epoch Times, because they're solid. Like Blaze Network, I don't even know if they're considered traditional news. Would probably be like Epoch Times. But yeah, like most of these news companies, it's just so laughable now what we've seen. Like Fox used to be held up as the bastion of liberty on the, like it's the one platform on normal TV that is not infiltrated by the communists. It's like, turns out that's a bunch of crap. I'm not saying there's not good people on there. Like I really do like Tucker Carlson. I used to like what's it? I'm forgetting his name. It's not Mark Levin. Shows you that I don't even care. I don't watch the news anymore at all, so. Oh yeah, Sean Hannity. I used to like Sean Hannity. Bill O'Reilly is all right when he was on there. He's written a couple books that I like, but for the most part, yeah, it's like these days it's like Tucker Carlson, and that's about it. So, yeah, it's a mess, guys. To just kind of wrap up here, like I said, I've been rambling about this. The point I was making in this video, they know, they just don't care, and when they start to lose the narrative, they will admit that they're wrong, and that's all you need to focus on. If they start letting you talk about something, because they'll never admit they're wrong, what they do is they just stop censoring you on that topic, and then they move the goalpost to another topic. So if you're allowed to talk about something, then just know they've lost the narrative, and it's over. So anyway, that's the video, guys. Like I said before, check me out on Odyssey. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel as well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. But as always, guys, on this channel, it's Jigsaw0097. I'll talk to you guys all later.